Hello there, welcome back to Simon's Shed. Hope you're all well, and it seems it's been a while since I showed you my layout, the Shed Valley Railway, which is based on the Severn Valley Railway. I thought it'd be good to show you basically everything that's wrong with it, or at least everything that could be improved, and yeah, let's start putting it right. So let's take a quick trip around the layout and see where we're going, see what problems we can find and gaps. And absolutely the idea of this is to get your suggestions as well, but we'll start at this end because I know the biggest problem I'd like to fix is at the other end of the layout, and it's probably going to be the hardest one to sort out. So we'll start over here. As you can see, I've already started making preparations for what we're going to improve and fix. Got various lights in there. I need to have a good sort through those and see what works and what's good enough to put on the layout. And we've got some more vehicles, so yeah, why not start right over here. We can certainly give this a dust off and improve this by putting these cars in place. It needs a lot more traffic. I'll show you what I've got in more detail later. More people, for sure. There is a pelican crossing here, so we could do something with that. You can get kits for that. I'd like to try and do something here to sort of make it look like there's a row of houses. Yeah, there's some gaps under these buildings which are really quite annoying. So tidy those up. And also lighting. I'm going to light the buildings. They're not glued down very firmly, so they will come off, and I can put lights in the back to light the buildings. We've got no street lights either, so that's another thing we can do. Similarly here we can have some station lights. Happy with the station building itself. Need to fix that wonky chimney again because it keeps getting knocked off. Yeah, generally happy with this, but just needs some more lights. Needs a bike stand storage thing there. A lot more people needed for the platform. The footbridge is slightly wonky and is not particularly like the one that's really there, so possible 3D printing project there. Pretty happy with this, but again needs a lot more people and a lot more detail can be added on the platforms. Pretty obvious thing that's missing here, a lot of cars for the car park. So yeah, that could be another 3D printing project to sort that out. Possibly add a few more trees. Never seem to have too many trees on a layout. Might try and hide this sort of secret loop entrance a bit better. Have some kind of wall here perhaps to hide that. This area is pretty good. Needs a bit more detail perhaps. Potentially could redo the signal box to make it look more like the Kidderminster signal box. And the footbridge, not sure about that one. It has changed. The real one doesn't look like that anymore, so I could update it to the modern one, or I could just say that that's the era that it's set in, is pre the updated footbridge. Here could really go to town with the detail in this yard. Adding more detail, painting those barrels for a start. There's a lot of things we could do with the engine shed. Primarily redoing this sort of concrete effect a lot better and putting an interior in. And fixing this bit of fence back down. This tree, I've glued this tree back down at least a dozen times. I think what I'm going to do is set fire to it and forget about it, because it's right on that corner there and it just gets knocked every time, so we'll come up with a solution to that, which, as I say, is maybe just get rid of it. Again, possibly more trees to hide the sort of exits to the scene and the sort of fork in the track. Could definitely improve the allotments, make a more plausible sort of entrance and exit, the little path that goes maybe along here. More safari park animals and general sort of, again, more trees, I guess. But yeah, pretty happy with the caravan park. It's okay, maybe some more 3D printed details here. Top up the trees in the forest as we approach the bridge. Could possibly redo the entire bridge as a 3D printing project. It doesn't look too bad until you get up really close. Then obviously the fencing needs sorting out, and yeah, I think that the front looks better than the back. But yeah, I could possibly improve that with a 3D printed version. The water, yeah, it's starting to bubble up again. Spreading IPA on the surface and sort of leaving it seems to get rid of those bubbles, but they do keep coming back. More details on the backgrounds perhaps, and again, maybe some more trees, just adding more detail. I mean, as we come into the Arley station, this is definitely the area that has had the most detail lavished on it, but I'm sure there's things we can add and improve. Yeah, really pleased with the sort of detail level on the platform here, and that's what I'd like to achieve everywhere on the layout, really. Need to straighten up that telegraph pole. But yeah, this is already lit, so I could light the station building. Pretty happy with that as it is. But yeah, just studying photos of the real thing and improving things. That signal box could probably be improved as well. And then we're at the other end of the layout where we get to the biggest issue, which is partially hidden. I'm just gonna... So, oh yeah, before I get into the big problem, I need to get these signals working, and I should have mentioned at the other end there's not really any signals, so that's a big improvement we can do. Get some working signals going. I had a bit of a disaster with the Dapol signals when I put these in, so yeah, just parked it and meant to come back to it one day, which is yeah, sort of coming around now. So yeah, the big issue, the thing I like least about this layout is that horrible fake siding. The original plan did not have the this siding, but as I was building it, I just wanted to make it more like what was really there, so I put the tracks in and then sort of thought, oh, it'll be fine, I'll be able to sort of blend it in. But yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's fake. So yeah, we're going to start at the other end, but this is going to require some level of ripping up track, and while everything's running nicely, I don't really want to do that. I think what I'm going to do, actually, suggestions welcome, but I think I'm going to flatten this bit out, make these curves shallower so these tracks actually meet further up there, maybe even off the scene. Make them live so you can actually, these are completely dead, these tracks, so make them live so we can actually run trains on them, and then put a point somewhere maybe over here that's off the scene so we can actually go into that siding, and the tracks will come along here, make that curve a bit gentler, and it won't be a horrible fake dead end of a siding. Did think about three-way points, but it's going to sort of end there, isn't it? We'd have to rip up all of this, which I don't really want to do, and I don't know how to wire three-way points, and then we'd have to have another point here anyway to sort of split that off. So yeah, what do you reckon? Comment below. Right, let's do this. Now, I just have to pause it here because I don't want to make this look too easy with the gentle piano music playing and the short little clips. Most of it was easy, but fitting the traffic lights was a nightmare. The lights and the circuit board are fantastic, but as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, the crossing is right above the biggest support blocks on the whole layout. And I spent a good 2 hours on my back sawing and drilling away at these supports, with sawdust raining down on my face so that I could get the traffic light wires down through the baseboard into the circuit board underneath. And obviously screwing the wires into the terminals on that board wasn't easy, as I was upside down with limited space. Anyway, basically I always like to be honest and show the bits that went wrong as well as the bits that, you know, the good bits. So with that said, let's get back to the rest of the changes. We will do the big switch on shortly, but let's just go through the whole street and I'll show you what I've done. So I decided to add a advertising hoarding down here. So there's this is actually from a screen grab of a Google Earth, Google Maps, of an actual advertising board on Comberton Hill itself. So you might not be able to see much of it, but it is an actual, I just kind of like the fact that it's an actual advert from the same street that I'm modelling. And you can probably see the first street light, and we've got our Jaguar XF and a Land Rover Discovery here. We've got some more people down here and waiting at the crossing, and obviously we've got traffic lights at the crossing. So yeah, as I say, I'll switch those on in a sec and turn the lights off in here to get a more atmospheric shot. More people here, and let's move up the street. You can see here we've got our transit van, more people, little mini, another street light, and hopefully you can see the gap under that building has now been improved. So one thing that didn't work is the forced perspective idea for this side street. I just couldn't get it to work. Back to the drawing board on that one, I'm afraid. We'll have another go at it, but I need to rethink, because what I tried just didn't work. It didn't look right at all. And just to finish off over here, I think this was already here, wasn't it? But the ambulance is new, and we've got the street lights, and you can't really see it from this angle, but we've got the bus shelter in there as well. And again, I've tried to sort of improve the gaps under here. And we've got somebody who will be eternally posting a letter into that post box. So I think it's time to switch on the lights. Let's plug in the traffic lights. There we go. They do look good. Really pleased with these. I think it does add another dimension to the layout. I've changed it from the default settings. There we go. Changes to green, so it should stay on green for quite some time now, about a minute. There's just a little button on the board that you have to hold down, power it on, loose it, and then you have to sort of count the number of flashes in terms of which bit you want to program. I think it's, say, 5 flashes to program the red timer, and then you count the number of flashes again, and that's the number of seconds that it will stay on red, and so on. So reasonably easy to program, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how those have turned out. So now let's switch on the street lights and the building lights. There we go. The building lights are quite subtle. I had to set the voltage on the plug. I've got a variable voltage plug that is now set to supply 3 volts, because that's what the LEDs require for the street lamps. So yeah, it is quite subtle in terms of the building lights until we turn the lights down in the shed. There we go. So actually the lights in the buildings are sort of grain of wheat bulbs. They're not LEDs, which gives them that nice sort of warm colour, which I like, and it contrasts with the sort of more modern street lights, which are LEDs. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. Lighting does add another dimension to things, and yeah, I like the way the traffic lights reflect on that building there. But I am really happy with the improvements and how that's turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments, and obviously subscribe for more updates. So I will leave you with a view of the improved street scene at Comberton Hill, with the Class 170 pulling away there on a chilly evening in Kidderminster. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.